Good morning, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and as you can see, I'm sitting here in the car. I'm waiting to go into another new comic book day at Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland. And today we have the Ultimate X-Men coming out, as well as Spectacular Spider-Men #1 coming out. And there are definitely some other books that I'm definitely interested in today. When I went back and I reviewed the books that I had pre-ordered for the month of March, I realized that I had missed putting a few things on that list. So I'm here today to do what I normally do on New Comic Book Day, is to get some of those books that I might have missed, as well as pick up some of those variant covers that I might not have known about at the time. When you do these pre-orders 2.5, 3 months in advance, a lot of times the art is not available. You just might see the artist's name, but you don't know what the art looks like. So a lot of times I won't pre-order those unless it's somebody I really know, like an art germ, for example. So here I am today. There's definitely a small list of books I'm looking for. I'm going to get ready to go in and hopefully pick up some really nice books. I don't know if there's any back issues I'm looking for today, but we'll go through the books. I'll take some footage of the new comic books. I am not going to shoot too much of the rest of the store. Those I've spotlighted Third Eye in other videos before. I've shown you the store before, but in this one, I'm just going to show you off some of the new comics for this week, and that's it. I'll get back in the car, we'll talk a little bit, and then I'll get back home, and then I will show you all the comics that I pick up for this new comic book day. All right, guys, I just finished up here at Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland for New Comic Book Day. What a great day. It was hot today. Hot comics, hot comics. You've got Ultimate X-Men that were just flying off the shelf with all these multiple covers and variants. You've got Spectacular Spider-Man #1 just coming out as well. You've got multiple covers on that. Some great covers. Last Ronin #2, the first issue coming out off the stand right now. Man, there were a ton of people here for New Comic Book Day, and it was hard to actually get in there and film anything. I sort of had to go get my comics and then come back and then film once the furor died down just a little bit, so I could get in there and show you all some of these new comics that were coming out. What a great New Comic Book Day. I couldn't get over it. I ended up with a bunch of comics, and I'm going to get back home, and I'm going to sit down. I'm going to bag and board all these so they'll be protected. And I'm telling you, I got a couple collectors in there right now that they actually bring or buy. I'm not sure if they buy or they already brought their own bags and boards with them so they can literally bag and board them and take them up to the counter at that point. I mean, that's next level. I may have to take it to that level because, as I walk around the store and I've got this big pile of comics, I'm worried about damaging it. And I've spent all this time trying to find the best copies possible. And just as a side note, just because I'm thinking about it right now, I mean, a lot of these new comics are coming out. The bindery tears on these comics are fantastic. I mean, I'm going through stacks of Ultimate X-Men and Spectacular Spider-Man #1, and trying to find near perfect copies was almost impossible because if you didn't have a bindery tear at the top, you had it down at the bottom, or a spine split, rather. I mean, it was really, I don't want to say horrible, and in fact, you probably can still get 9.8s on the majority of these, but trying to find the near perfect copy was actually, it was a little bit harder than I expected, but luckily there was a ton of comic books to go through, stacks and stacks of all these new comics to go through. You just had to kind of go through the waves of all the people that were there today. But give me a moment. I'll get back home. We'll sit down and we'll go through the books, and I'll show you what I picked up for this new comic book day.
2,000 years later.
All right, guys, I'm back home. I bagged and boarded all the new comics I picked up at Third Eye Comics. I'm ready to present, but I will tell you that I may have to start taking bags and boards to the comic shop or just buy another set there and bag those comics up right off the stand so they are going to be very protected by the time I get back home here. That was next level stuff. I was really impressed by that, and I don't know why I hadn't seen that before, but I'm pretty sure that several of these collectors, I've seen them there multiple times. I wasn't really paying attention, but I noticed it this time. Maybe that's what I'm going to have to do in the future. But let's get into the comics. Let's start off with the hot comic book of the week, which is Ultimate X-Men #1. It is a completely different take, I think, from what anybody was expecting. You've got Peach Momoko doing this series, and she's focusing on Armor. Now, Armor is a character we've seen for years in the comics, and be interesting to see what the take is going to be on this, but we'll see where it goes. But a lot of these new Ultimates comics that have started off so far, Spider-Man, Black Panther, they've been a little bit of slow burns. We'll see where these go. Black Panther seemed very familiar to what we were used to in the 616. Ultimate Spider-Man was a completely different take, but again, a slow burn. X-Men here is going in a completely different direction, it seems like, at the very beginning. We'll see where it ends up. But let's just start with the comics. So we did pick up cover A by Peach Momoko. This is the regular cover. Now, I did buy multiple copies of a lot of these books, so I'm not going to sit here and show you, look, hey, I bought multiple copies. I bought 6 copies of this. I bought 2 copies of this. I'm not getting into that. I'm just going to go over the different comics that I picked up for this new comic book day. But we did pick up cover A by Peach Momoko, and we picked up a bunch of different variants. So let me just get into it here. Let's start with this one by I'm going to mispronounce it. Inyuk Lee. This is the Armor cover right there. That is absolutely gorgeous right there. That is a beautiful cover. If I ever see him again at a convention, I may have to take that one to get signed. That's really nice. But the hot character of the week for Ultimate X-Men is this new character named Maystorm, and her first appearance, I don't think she's actually in the comic itself, but she's on the cover of several of these variants. So let's just get into it here. Let's start with, I believe this is the Mark Brooks variant right there. And this is the Betsy Cola cover. And here's one, I think this is the one I really like the most. This is by somebody named Dyke Ruan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that is just an absolute gorgeous cover right there. And before I keep going here, one of the things that I mentioned just a few minutes ago right after I left the store was, yes, there was a ton of these comics to go through. You saw it in the footage. They bought so many comics. Third Eye Comics had so many comics there to go through. And what I was finding was, you take a small stack of this from wherever it was on the stands, and you'd look at the spine, and there wasn't a lot that had ticks, necessary spine ticks, but the bindery here at the upper and the top and the bottom here on the spines were, there was a lot of little tears. There's a ton of spine splitting. I don't want to say severe, because I still think a lot of these are going to fit into that 9.8 candidate. But to be honest with you, you've got the time, you've got the ability to pull these off the stands and take a good look at these spines like this, and you can find some good copies in here. And that's what I did. And it was a little tough because, boy, was this, as I said, a hot day for this new comic book. And there were a ton of new comic book buyers there. And as a few of them are sellers, and they're looking for those ultimate comics, and they're looking for books to get graded and get better than that 9.8. We're all looking for those 9.9 candidates, or something better than a 9.8. Not guaranteed that we're actually going to get that grade. Maybe you can put it in for a pre-screen. I don't know. We know there's a whole thing about that now at CGC. But these were the Ultimate X-Men, and I did pick up multiple copies of all of these. I'm not sure if I picked up multiples of that Mark Brooks, but this cover right here, I think, is my favorite right there. And we'll see where this book goes over the next couple weeks. If it's going to be as hot as Spider-Man, number one, I honestly, I have a feeling that this is going to be, it may go past Ultimate Spider-Man. We'll see. I don't know yet. Judging by how hot it was at the comic shop, this comic book may explode too, but who knows? Maybe the print run is much bigger than Spider-Man. I don't know. So those were the X-Men books. The other big book was this right here. It was Spectacular Spider-Man. And you've got Miles, and you've got Peter Parker, and you've got Humberto Ramos coming back to a Spider-Man title and doing this great artwork. I'll be honest, his style, it's not necessarily my favorite, but I actually enjoy it. I think it was wonderful on Strange Academy. I can't say that I was a big fan of it on Spider-Man, even when he was doing it originally. But it's not bad. Trust me, there's much worse out there. It's still really good. It's little bit of an acquired taste the way that's drawn, but still really enjoy it, and it's still really good. So I picked up a couple copies of this, and I'm still having the same problems of the spine splitting up there. And as you can see, it's a very dark spine, and it shows up really quick how split these spines at the top and bottom especially are. But I also picked up this. This is one of the variants. This is the only variant that I picked up. And this is again by the same artist from that Ultimate X-Men, Dyke Ruan. And I really like this cover. This is a pretty awesome cover right there. And we'll get into this. We'll read this book because I'm interested to see what they're going to do. I've heard some good reviews on this. I've actually heard good reviews on Ultimate X-Men too. So I'm going to enjoy reading both of those. Guys, actually reading comics. What a novel concept. We're all not out there just worrying about cover buys and how much these things are going to be worth. Trust me, I worry about how much these things are going to be worth. That's why sometimes I pick up multiple copies. But I'm a fan of these comics. I think I'm going to enjoy these. All right, so that was it for Spider-Man. And again, I only picked up that one copy of the Dyke Ruan cover. I don't know. I wasn't speculating on that one. I just liked the cover, and so that's why I got that one. But there were still some other new comics that I picked up. And the reason that, again, why do I go to New Comic Book Day? It's to catch books that I didn't necessarily buy pre-order from my subscription service. And yes, I did have Spectacular Spider-Man. I had #1 ordered. I did have the Ultimate X-Men #1 ordered, but I didn't buy some of those variant covers because a lot of times 3 months in advance, you don't necessarily have the art from that artist to preview. So it's hard to tell what they're really going to look like. And that's what's true about, it seemed like a lot of this month. I should say this week, not this month, but I feel like I missed some things. So I did miss this because I have dropped X-Men, and it's having dropped X-Men almost 100%, actually probably 100%, I'm not apt to go and look at all the listings for all of them. I just skip over it. So I did miss out on Weapon X-Men, and after hearing some reviews on this, I thought, okay, it's an interesting concept. We'll take a chance on this one and read this. I thumbed through it. It actually looks pretty good. So coming from that Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, and I think there's other variant Wolverines in this, so that should be kind of interesting. And then the rest of what I picked up were things that I really wasn't on the radar at all until I started previewing what I was going to pick up for this particular new comic book day. And as I was going through what some of the new things were, these are books that I don't necessarily buy regularly or at all. And there's a lot of DC comics that I've just skipped over for the most part. I still pick up some Batman books, but for the most part, I'm not enjoying anything from DC for the most part. I know that the new Batman, I can't remember what it's called. It's the Batman, it's set in 1939. It's a retro type book. It was on the stands, but I didn't pick that up because I do have that pre-ordered. So, but I did pick up a couple of DC books, and 100% cover by Birds of Prey right here. This is, what issue is this? I have no idea. Hang on. Number 7, and the artist, Pablo Villalobos. Oh, I butchered that. But I love this cover, and I think I even talked about this, the last cover from Birds of Prey. This is, to me, it kind of comes off as a kind of an Adam Hughes clone a little bit. I see it in the faces. The faces seem very familiar. In fact, that's my first thought was, oh, is that Adam Hughes? And maybe I'm off on that. You guys can let me know by leaving me a comment in the comment section. Do you see a similarity between this art and what Adam Hughes does? I do, but I love this cover. This is a really nice cover. And I also picked up this. This is Poison Ivy number 20. And I don't read this book, but Susan Micah did the cover to this, and this is spectacular. Here, let's see if we can get that on there straight. There you go. That's a beautiful cover. If I get to see her at another convention at some point, I will take this. I may have this one as one of the ones I get signed. I've got some Catwoman comics as well that she did covers for that are spectacular. I don't have some of those early books where she had Catwoman with Harley Quinn that just absolutely blew up. There were some variant covers when she was hot about 2 years ago. The art is still fantastic, but I have collected some Susan Micah prints that had been signed. I got those off of her Whatnot show a while back. So I am a bit of a fan, but when I saw her at Heroes Con 2 years ago, I had no idea, and that's when she was blowing up, but I didn't have any idea who she was. And I remember going by her booth, and there's 2 women standing there, but nobody signing. They looked like they were workers just working there, and I had no idea which one was which, and I didn't want to be a complete idiot, so I didn't go up to the stand. So, but now these days, I know who she is. I know who to look for at this time. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to meet her in person and get comics signed in person. All right. Another cover by, and I talked about this in one of my previous videos on New Comic Book Day. It is the Sentry number 4. I'm going to sit down. I think this was a 4-issue miniseries, judging by the finale symbol at the end of this. But I'm going to sit down and read all this. But honestly, the 4 issues that I bought, I picked up issue number 3 in one of my previous videos, and then went back and found the issues 1 and 2 on the stands. But I bought this because of the cover artist, Ben Harvey. Talked about him in my last video, and big fan of him after getting to see him actually do some art in person at the Baltimore Comic-Con 2 years ago, where I bought several prints from him where he signed them. In fact, you can't see it. The camera's not moving, but it's right there. I've got a Black Widow print that he signed. I gave my daughter a Harley Quinn print. Absolutely gorgeous. And I continued picking up some of his artwork. Now, he actually had another cover on the stands this week. It was I don't know if it's a variant or it's the main cover, I'm not sure, of the new She-Hulk series. I don't know which issue that was this week. I'm not a fan. I don't read that book, and I didn't actually care for that cover quite so much, even though it was Ben Harvey. So I'm not buying just about everything I see of his, but I really like these Century books. So I picked that up. And then the last two things I ended up picking up, I kind of went reviewing the stands and seeing what was out there. I did find another copy of Ultimate Spider-Man #2. This is a first print, cover A. I went ahead and just picked up that. They only had one left on the stand, so I just picked that up. And then the very last thing was, it was a third printing of Ultimate Spider-Man #1. And that right there, I only got one of that. They had, I think these were out this week as well. And I only picked up one of that. I'm not looking to, I don't know what the investment value on something like that's going to be at this point. Seems like all the heat's still on the first cover A and several of the variants on first printings. I never did see the second printing, but when I saw the third printing here, I just went ahead and picked up one of those to have in the PC. But that's it, guys. It was a really great new comic book day. Some great books here. In fact, I'm going to enjoy reading the majority of these. Again, reading comics. What a novel concept. But you guys, let me know, what did you pick up on this particular new comic book day by leaving me a comment in the comment section below. And definitely, if you like this day's video, definitely give me a like, hit that subscribe, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on each and every episode that I put out Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. All right, guys, that's it for the sales pitch. I'm out of here. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you for the next show. Just remember, every comic has a story. Hold it, hold it, hold it. We were almost done. We were almost out of here, and I forgot one book. One hot book that came out this week that I picked up a really nice copy of this. I didn't want to forget it as I turned off the camera and I went away. I forgot I did pick up a copy of the new Last Ronin #2. I only picked up one copy of this. I'm not a big fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but there was so much heat on the first series of this, I figured, okay, pick up a first print, first copy, regular cover of #2. So that was the last thing that I picked up. I don't think I'm going to read this. It's such a perfect book right here. I bagged and boarded it. I'm going to hold on to this. I don't know if this is a grading potential, but we'll see where that goes. I think, again, all the heat's going to be on the first series. It already was, especially the first issue. This right here, even though you've got the young Mutant Ninja Turtles now grown up a little bit older and they can start fighting, I don't know if that's going to be significant enough to make this book a hot book or anything. But again, I picked up one copy. So that's the last book. So take care, guys. I will see you for the next show. And again, remember, every comic has a story.